Wainuiomata's wildfire solution, a model that LA didn't follow. What is the windiest city in the world? Did you know it is a hilly place on the coast? And suffered from wildfires all through the 70s and 80s? New Zealand's capital city Wellington is the world's windiest city, and it looked a lot different in the 70s and 80s. Simple solutions are the best solutions. So in the heart of New Zealand, a small town faced a massive challenge: devastating wildfires. But instead of succumbing to the flames, Wainuiomata took a proactive approach, implementing a series of measures that have made it a model for wildfire prevention and management. This is Wellington, where gale force winds are common. Sadly, gale force winds are not a rare event in Wellington. It is literally a place where children have flown away. Furthermore, it is a place that was covered in dry flammable brush, so a place with numerous gale force winds and forest fires. It wasn't destroyed, and it didn't cost millions to make it safe. It doesn't have a huge fire service. It didn't have DEI, no political agendas. Well, it was the 70s and 80s. So how did they turn it around? The key to Wainuiomata's success lies in its community-driven approach. Residents, local authorities, and experts. Okay, not American elite out-of-touch Harvard experts, but a couple of Massey University students who work together with volunteers to identify and implement effective practical solutions. Key strategies: pragmatic and in touch with nature. Controlled burns. Carefully planned and executed controlled burns to reduce fuel loads and prevent larger, more destructive wildfires. Fire breaks. Creating fire breaks to contain fires and prevent them from spreading. Not treated as a fire barrier. Reforestation. Planting native trees and shrubs to restore the natural landscape and reduce fire risk. Replace introduced flammable non-native species with native less flammable species. Community education. Raising awareness about wildfire dangers and encouraging residents to take preventative measures. Wainuiomata has a specialist bush force. Now you have to love the Kiwis' way of naming things. Be aware. If you just search on bush force, you are most likely to get porn results. Guess the major difference between Wainuiomata's bush force and California? It has a lot less equipment. Nowhere near the amount of equipment of LA, even despite all the LA budget cuts. It is a volunteer service. That's right, the men and women who do the firefighting don't get paid. They do it for free, just for friends and family, and the rest of the community. The LA conundrum. While Wainuiomata provides a blueprint for effective wildfire management, Los Angeles, a city with significantly more resources and so-called elite university expertise, continues to struggle with devastating wildfires. Why the difference? Political gridlock, political polarization, and lobbying by powerful interests can hinder progress on important environmental issues. Regulatory challenges, complex regulations, and bureaucratic hurdles can slow down the implementation of effective solutions. You should watch our series on how the green movement is funded by foreign state actors to cause situations like this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you are always informed. Drill, baby, drill. Business interests massively contributed to the fires, and of course caused local climate change, which is a direct cause of the fires. Lack of community engagement. A lack of community involvement and buy-in can make it difficult to implement long-term solutions. Not my problem. Why didn't they? What have you done for me lately? Wellington residents protect themselves, while they don't trust the elites to protect them. Help yourselves and others around you. The hidden hand? Are these disasters planned? Yes. In the late 80s, Wellington was discussed. It was known solution, and the strategies which worked for Wellington would work in Los Angeles. Fire breaks, burn-offs, forest management, replanting. Where you burn off the introduced flammable species in Wellington. This is gorse. Brought to New Zealand by the typical Hollywood baddies, the English. In the 70s, the hills around Wellington and Wainuiomata were yellow. They are now green with native forestry and native animals thriving. Trawling of the ocean is banned. and the winds are weaker. Positive climate change and the polar opposite of Los Angeles, which is full of invasive non-native flammable brush. Cheatgrass, Bromus tectorum. This annual grass is incredibly successful at invading disturbed areas and quickly forms dense stands. It dries out early in the season, creating a continuous carpet of highly flammable fuel. Red brome, Bromus rubens. Similar to cheatgrass, red brome is an annual grass that thrives in disturbed areas. It also dries out quickly and contributes significantly to fire risk. Foxtail, Soteria spp. There are various species of foxtail, and they are all known for their ability to spread rapidly and create dense patches of dry, flammable material. These grasses outcompete native vegetation and create a more fire-prone environment. They ignite easily and burn rapidly, increasing the intensity and speed of wildfires. This makes it harder for firefighters to contain the blazes and puts communities at greater risk. Then trawling. It causes massive negative climate change and affects the local environment, especially winds in hilly areas. How? Seabed roughness and turbulence. Trawling's impact. Bottom trawling can significantly alter the seabed, smoothing out its natural roughness. This roughness plays a role in creating turbulence in the water, which influences wind patterns in the lower atmosphere. This is the wind that carries fire embers, in the LA case, for miles. Ocean mixing and temperature gradients. Disruption of mixing. Trawling disrupts the natural mixing of ocean water, particularly in areas with thermoclines, layers of water with different temperatures. This mixing influences heat exchange between the ocean and the atmosphere. These gradients are a driving force for wind patterns, and changes in them influence wind speeds and direction. Combined with fire breaks and burn-offs, this controls the path of the fires. Ecosystem changes and evaporation. Impact on marine life. Trawling has a detrimental impact on marine ecosystems, including kelp forests and seagrass beds. Changes in evaporation. A trawling ban could lead to the recovery of these ecosystems. This changes evaporation rates, which in turn changes air density and wind patterns. Remember, this isn't theory. It was done in Wellington and we have the results. We use this in Predictive AI for the underwriting of insurance. You know, the models that predicted that LA was too big a fire risk, and State Farm, AIG canceled policies. Watch our climate change series on why climate change science is corrupted, who profits on it, why they lie, and why elites are idiots. Why not just do what the windiest city in the world did? It worked. Almost identical topography, almost identical problems. Sure, it is a practical and not a Harvard-based solution, put together by 100 highly paid consultants. Sure, it was incredibly cheap. Sure, cheap and practical is not the American way, but why not do it? Some argue that the challenges faced by Los Angeles and the US more broadly are not just the result of domestic factors but also the result of foreign interference and manipulation by state actors. Heck, even the incoming Vice President, J.D. Vance, goes on and on about how the European Green Movement is all bullshit as it is funded hugely by Russia. Yet when it is funded in the US and leads to political gridlock, where it is not impossible to do any practical solutions, where on one side, you can't do burn-offs or put in a series of fire breaks because of lawsuits of some nesting owls. As J.D. Vance says, who funds the groups behind the lawsuits. On the other side you have trawl baby trawl. You have lawsuits, pro-development, and we want the pretty invasive flammable grasses. Learn how we lost the Third Cold War. How foreign actors pay celebrities to promote their agendas. By ringing the bell and like, subscribe. The LA situation was preventable. But could it ever be prevented in the US? Who causes the divisions in the country? Where is the next preventable disaster?